Hi. Welcome to our reading video. This is where I teach myself how to read. Okay. So, right now we are in chapter 10, and in every chapter we have a quote. Before we start any chapter, we have a quote to read. So, in chapter 10, the quote states, "That will be a good thing for them to cut on my tombstone. Whenever she, wherever she went, including here, it was against her better judgment." Dorothy Parker. I've not even understood the quote. Let me try adjust the lighting here kidogo. I don't know if it will. I think that's better. Let me read the quote again. "That would be a good thing for them to cut on my tombstone. Wherever she went, including here, it was against her better judgment." By Dorothy Parker. I don't know what that means. I cannot get the quote, but anyway. We continue. We are at chapter 10. Although she wasn't expected to provide lunch, it being a B&B, not a B&B and L, Aunt Winnie nevertheless put out a tureen of calm chowder and some chicken sandwiches for the guests. It was a bit like leaving cookies out for Santa. You never saw anything eaten, but soon there was only an empty tray with a few crumbs. Not that I was complaining. I wasn't keen on sitting in a room and watching other people not make eye contact with me. My conversation with Bridget and Colin reminded me that I had other phone calls to make. I would have to call my mother, sister, and boss to let them know what had happened. Unfortunately, my mother wasn't home and I ended up speaking with George. He oozed concern for my safety, a sentiment that would have been more believable had he bothered to turn down the football game blaring in the background. My phone call to Kit was no more enjoyable. For 5 minutes, she screamed incoherently about how this news affected her stress, which apparently had reached its zenith over the weekend. I didn't bother to point out that had her stress indeed reached the zenith, her words, then my news could not have possibly added to it. She then proclaimed that had I joined her for New Year's Eve, none of this would have happened. And if I had even the slightest idea of what this was doing to her blood pressure, it was on the tip of my tongue to ask how my presence at a hot tub party could have prevented a murder, but I restrained myself. As for her query about her stress and blood pressure, I refrained from calling them my old friends, having had them mentioned with consideration for 20 years at least. She wouldn't have caught the reference anyway, and I saw no reason to waste a perfectly good line. The only call I enjoyed was the one to my boss, Cheryl. As I had anticipated, she ranted and raved once she understood that I would be out of the office for the next several days. She demanded to know who was in charge of the case, and I happily obliged her by giving her Detective Stewart's direct line. I hoped she would call him. They deserved they deserved each other. By mid-afternoon, Aunt Winnie and I had packed the food for Lauren and Polly and were on our way to their house, with the car radio blasting. When Aunt Winnie is in stress, when Aunt Winnie is stressed, she likes to listen to country music. She says the songs are so depressing that they make her feel better in comparison. So as we drove along in her light blue 68 Mercedes, I stared out the window trying to ignore both the blaring music and her horrible attempts to sing along. Finally, it was too much for me and I reached over and turned the volume down. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Do you know what happens when you play country music backward?" I replied conversationally. Without waiting for her to answer, I continued. "You get your job back. Your wife comes home. Your dog comes back to life. You sober up. You know, some people consider country music an art form." She contact. She countered. Some people feel the same way about body piercing. Are you saying you prefer body piercing to country music? Sorry. I pretended to consider the question. "Would you be singing the country music song?" She laughed. "Oh, never mind. We are here. Before us was a massive colonial suited a couple of 100 yards from the beach. Dusk was starting to settle by the time we pulled into the driveway, and the trees out from blazed with thousands upon thousands of tiny white lights. It was beautiful, to be sure, but in all honesty, I preferred the simple charm of Langburn. A sober-looking woman of intermediate age answered the door. She briskly introduced herself as Miss Jenkins. She had an intelligent face, fine brown hair pulled back into a tidy bun, and neat, serviceable clothes. This, combined with her aura of cool efficiency, made her subsequent announcement that she was the Ramses housekeeper superfluous. Superfluous. Eh, jamani. Majina zingine. In fact, so perfectly did she fit that part, I wondered briefly if she was from Central Casting. I didn't think people like Miss Jenkins existed outside of Agatha Christie novels. Explaining that Lauren was on the phone, Miss Jenkins graciously took our wicker basket of food and led us to wait in the sitting room. I was curious to see what an actual sitting room looked like. Having only read about them in books, the boasted characters like Miss Jacking, sadly, the room had only standard doors, not the French window variety that Agatha Christie's characters were forever popping in and out of. I felt cheated. The room was a curious blend of both Gerald's and Lauren's personalities. The formal atmosphere, with its brocade fabrics in red and cream and Queen Anne furniture, was clearly Gerald's choosing. The collection of ceramic pug dogs with giant fox sapphire eyes, however, was just an obviously Lauren's contribution. The rest of my inventory was cut short by the discovery that Antoine and I were not alone. At the far end of the room stood Daniel and Polly, their heads bent close together. Upon seeing us, they pulled apart with startled expression. Daniel recovered fast and crossed the room to Antoine and me. "We are sorry to interrupt," began Antoine. "We're just bringing some food over for Lauren and Polly." "That's very kind of you," said Daniel. "But please don't apologize. It's always a pleasure to see you, Miss Reynolds. And of course you too, Elizabeth." The wink that accompanied this aside to me happened so fast I wondered if I had imagined it. By now, Polly had joined us. Her hair was pulled back with her signature tortoise shell headband, and she wore another shapeless dress, this one of dark blue and corduroy. She looked terrible. Her face was pale and drawn, and there were dark circles under her eyes. "Lauren is on the phone," she said, "but I'm sure she'll be off any minute. I know she'll want to thank you." "How is she doing?" I asked. Polly shrugged and glanced at Daniel before answering. "She's doing all right, I guess," she said, "as well as can be expected. With Lauren, you never really know." Daniel opened his mouth as if he was about to say something, but Antoine spoke first. "And how about you, dear?" she asked kindly. "How are you doing?" Polly's lower lip twitched and she took a steadying breath before answering. Daniel watched her intently. "I'm okay," she said, giving us a humorous smile. "I'm not going to pretend that my father and I got along practically well, or that I was overly fond of him, but he was my father." I wasn't sure what to make of Polly's answer. Granted, I had found Gerard Ramsay to be a singularly disagreeable man, but he wasn't my father. It was another thing altogether. For his own daughter to react this coolly to his death. But then, but then again, she was his daughter. Maybe she was more like him than anyone realized. That said, the line sharper than a serpent's tooth, I still sprang to its tooth still sprang to my mind. Aunt Winnie tilted her head to one side and said quietly, "I think that with all things considered, you are holding up just fine, dear." Something unspoken passed between them, and Polly's eyes welled with unshed tears. The door suddenly swung open, breaking the mood. Miss Jackins entered. Beyond her right shoulder was a bright red hat covered in teeny white flowers that bobbed furiously up and down. Miss Jackins' announcement was unnecessary. Miss Jackie Turner had arrived. She instantly swooped down on Polly. "Oh, you poor, poor child," she gushed as she enveloped Polly in a tight hug. Polly's startled face hovered above the mass of white flowers before she defeatedly removed herself from Jackie's grip. Jackie appeared not to notice the maneuver. "What an awful thing for you to go through," Jackie said in a tone that believed her words. Having a close relative murdered not 10 feet from her was probably Jackie's idea of high drama. "If there is anything I can do to help," she continued, "just let me know, and don't you worry. I know that the police will find out who did this terrible, terrible thing. Tell me, dear, have they given you any idea as to which one of us they think killed your father?" Jackie's words hit like a bucket of cold water. There was a startled pause, a loud of rapid blinking, and for some reason, slightly better posture. Only Jackie seemed unaffected. She gazed expectantly at Polly, calmly waiting for a response. Polly gaped at Jackie before glancing at the rest of us for help. None came, and I realized that while we all might abhor Jackie's tactics, we nevertheless were eager to hear what they produced. However, if Polly knew anything she was telling, she merely shook her head and said, I don't know any more than you do. Detective Stewart has asked Lauren and me to stay in town for a few days, but other than that, he hasn't told me anything. I heard that there was no chance it was a mistake, said Jackie. What do you mean? Asked Daniel. His voice had hard-edged. Jackie turned to him, her eyes big with excitement. Well, from what I understand, the police found rel- rel- reflective tape on Gerald. They think the killer must have put it on him sometime during the evening. To be sure, the bullet found its mark. Polly let out a little gasp. This had gone too far for me, Miss Turner, I said firmly. At the same moment, Aunt Winnie snapped. Jackie, really? I continued. I don't think this is an appropriate conversation to have right now. Jackie's brow furrowed underneath the shadowy brim of her hat. Why? She asked, with the simplicity of a small child. My mind went blank. She was too unbelievable for words. I tried without success to explain why I thought a conversation in front of Polly about the details of her father's murder was in bad taste. Thankfully, my incoherent sputtering was interrupted by the arrival of Lauren. She looked amazing. She floated rather than walked into the room, her long blonde hair hanging in a simple ponytail, giving her a youthful and somehow innocent appearance. Her skin glowed and her eyes appeared almost lum- lum- luminous. My first thought was that became her, the death of her husband, that is. I snuck a peek at Daniel to gauge his reaction. His blue eyes watched her with what seemed a mix of open admiration and be- bemusement. Bemusement. Hii nikaa nishaisikia hii word but she giggled towards our little group. She was holding a dog in her arms, clearly the inspiration for the ceramic collection. The dog eyed us with such an expression of enthusiastic desire that I found myself almost missing Lady Catherine's icy disdain. I'm so sorry to keep you waiting, Lauren said. Miss Jenkins tells me that you brought us some food, she continued, addressing Aunt Winnie. Thank you. That was very thoughtful of you. It's the least we can do, Aunt Winnie replied. Lauren smiled again but said nothing. Her message was clear. Thank you for the food. Now please leave. I didn't fault her. Only a goal would expect a wife to entertain guests. Goal? What's a goal? What a lovely room you have here, said Jackie, settling herself comfortably into one of the chairs. You have such nice things, she wistfully continued, delicately touching one of the hideous ceramic pugs. Even Daniel's composure was shaken at this audacious display. For the first time since I had met him, he was speechless. It was Polly who spoke. Thank you, Miss Turner. Why don't I have Miss Jenkins bring in some tea? That's very kind of you, Polly, said Aunt Winnie, but Elizabeth and I should go. Oh, please stay, Polly implored. Aunt Winnie and me, I insist. Don't think she wanted to deal with Jackie alone. I can't say that I blamed her. Well, just for a little while, replied Aunt Winnie. We both sat down. Thank you, said Polly, with a grateful expression. I'll go and tell Miss Jackins. I'll only be a minute. From Lauren's arms, the dog now gave an impatient bark. Does my sweetums want down? She conned, lowering the dog to the floor. Now play nice with our guest, Denny. She smiled at us and added apologetically. He gets a bit wounded up with strangers. Super. I was stuck in a room with a hyper dog by the name of Denny. No less, more and more I felt as if this whole weekend was a terrible joke in awful taste and someone from Candid Camera was minutes away from popping out and admitting to the park. But no one emerged from a hidden doorway to call an end of the gag. Instead, it got worse. Mere seconds after leaving Lauren's arms, Denny hurled his body at my leg. With a low grunt of satisfaction, he wrapped one fat paw around my calf and then the other. Seconds later, he lunged on and was furiously humping away, his pink tongue lolling out the side of his mouth and his eyes rolling back into his furry little head. Before I was the recipient of someone premature pupilation, I jacked my leg, sending him flying flat on his back. What is pupilation? Pugilation. Pugilation. We? Kwambia kizungu. I jacked my leg, sending him flying flat on his back. Apparently, Denny liked the rough stuff because seconds later we were eye to eye, literally. He planted himself on my lap, his squashed face not 2 inches from mine. Panting heavily, he appeared in no hurry to move. What a sweet little doggy, Jackie said. Daniel was overcome with a violent coughing fit that I was sure was designed to mask uncontrollable laughter. I glared at him from over the top of Denny's furry head. I hope you don't mind, Elizabeth, said Lauren. Mind what? That the family dog was trying to molest me? Not at all, I mumbled. It's just that I usually get dinner and a movie first. Daniel's coughing grew louder. Danny hasn't been himself today, Lauren continued. I think he senses the stress. There's so much to arrange. I've been on the phone all morning, but at least I was able to get through to Jamie. Jamie, repeated Jackie, instantly on the alert from new information. Who is that? Clearly regretting her words, Lauren's answer came half beat slow. Jamie is my son, she said. She eyed Jackie's distastefully, no doubt anticipating that this information would be all over town by nightfall. Why? I didn't know you and Gerald had a son, exclaimed Jackie. Polly had returned in time to hear Jackie's words. She looked aghast. We don't, replied Lauren testily. Jamie is my son from my previous marriage. Oh, I see, said Jackie. How old is he? He's 14, Lauren said briskly. She smoothed non-existent wrinkles on her sleeve. Such a wonderful age. Jackie said, obviously, to the fact that Lauren seemed not to share her enthusiasm for the conversation. Does he live with his father then? No, really. The little white flowers quivered like a radar, picking up a signal. Lauren made a further comment, and Daniel said crudely, Jamie has special needs. He lives in South California. Jackie's mouth made a silent oh, but thankfully she said no more. If there was a, if there was aware of Lauren's animosity, she was doing an excellent job of hiding it. Miss Jackins entered with the tea tray, and the rest of us busied ourselves with pouring and trying to make small talk. Miserable day out, said Daniel. Yes, and Antwini. They are calling for more snow, I believe. Yes, I heard that too. I said to Danny's nose. I, I debated shoving him off me, but decided I'd rather have him sitting on my lap than molesting my leg. Downtown was a complete mess, said Polly, as she picked up the silver teapot. The streets are treacherous. I'm supposed to visit Harriet up in Bridgeton later this week, but unless the roads improve, I'll have to cancel. You went downtown? Asked Lauren. I didn't know that when Polly concentrated on filling Jackie's cup before answering. I thought I told you. I was sure that I did. I went this morning. I needed cigarettes. She handed Jackie her cup. Speaking of which, said Daniel, I'm out. Can I pinch one of you? Oh, said Polly. That's right. I forgot. I thought I've picked some up for you. Could you please not smoke in here? Said Lauren with a sigh. You know it triggers my migraines. Jackie abruptly sat down her teacup, spilling the contents in the process. Oh dear, she said as she tried to mop it up with her napkin. What a cult I am. I'm always making a mess of things. Only this morning I broke one of Lynette's china figurines. I don't know how she puts up with me. I really am sorry. Lauren, I hope I haven't ruined any lovely chair. Jackie's face was pinched and worried underneath her hat. It's fine, said Lauren stiffly. Please don't worry about it. But the incident seemed to prey on Jackie's mind, and she was silent for the rest of the visit. As I watched her over the top of Denny's immovable head, I felt a surge of sympathy for her. After all, she was a lonely old woman whose only excitement seemed glared from the lives of others. Still, I was grateful for her silence, for in the words of Jane Austen, I was quite sure that it would pass, and no doubt more quickly than it should. When the tea was finished, Aunt Winnie and I made our excuses to leave. They were readily accepted. Even Jackie was ready to go. After extricating myself from Denny, I went out into the foyer to see about our coats. On the hall table lay a stack of mail. On the top was a large envelope from the State Department. It was addressed to Polly. I laid my hands on it, my fingers feeling the definitive outline of a passport. It would seem that Polly was going to Oxford after all. The question was, did she make the decision despite Gerald's protections, or because they wouldn't be an she knew wouldn't be an issue? I had just stepped back from the table when Daniel appeared behind me. It was good of you to come, Elizabeth, he said into my ear. Well, we wanted to see if there was anything we could do. I see. He turned me to his face again. With an impish smile, he took my hands in his. I willed them to neither sweat nor tremble. And you have done everything you can do. His face was so close to mine that I could see the faint laugh lines intertwined around his blue eyes. I know I was blushing, but I refused to let him turn me into a blithering idiot. Daniel, I said, it's good. It's been a long couple of days. I'm really tired and I'm not up for Ineadius right now. I couldn't agree more, he said. He wanted to do this from the first moment I've wanted to do this from the first moment I saw you. New Year's resolution and all that. He bent down and kissed me. He had just stepped back when Miss Jackins appeared with our coats. Or maybe she appeared once he stepped back. I didn't know and I didn't care. I took my coat without interest. I was already quite warm. Lauren, Polly, Jackie, and Antwini joined us in the foyer. We all said goodbye and walked outside. Jackie was still very quiet. Are you all right, Jackie? Asked Aunt Winnie, pulling her coat tightly around her. What? Jackie answered distractedly. Oh, yes, yes, I'm fine. I just have a sudden headache, that's all. Something doesn't make sense. I need to sort it all out. I know the answer is there. I just can't puzzle it out. Aunt Winnie and I waited politely for an explanation, but none was forthcoming. Instead, Jackie smiled at us and merely said, I'm sorry. Said, good afternoon, ladies. I will see you soon. Jackie's car was burgundy. Oh, I need to finish this. Jackie's car was burgundy, 93 Oldsmobile Cutlass. Slapped over a bend on the back fender was a bumper sticker that read, I beg for people. Once inside, Jackie gave us a little wave and slammed the door shut. And with that, she left. And that's it for our chapter 10. And I cannot wait for us to read chapter 11 and for my flu to be done, because it's driving me insane. Anyway, that's it for our teaching ourselves how to read out loud video, and we will catch up again tomorrow. Ciao, my loves.